May the words of my mouth and the meditation of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Come to me, all you who are weary and are carrying heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest in your souls. My yoke is easy. My burden is light. Now, does that sales pitch saying the burden Jesus is laying on us is light sound like a bit far-fetched to you? We're all carrying heavy burdens, especially in these crazy times. Trying to stay sane, and especially when things seem impossible to change. Could anything get better? We're wondering that. Even the most devout believer is wondering when this will end. We're all calloused by the constant wearing down of our hope. Disease and political turmoil and racial injustice are facing all the demons of our past, present, and future, and it's crushing to our spirits. Top that all off with the fact that our own little church is wondering what we'll be able to do to survive. And we can understand why people feel depressed and demoralized. But here's the thing, actually a couple of things. First, we're all going through this together. So we have a very real and personal understanding of what each of us is going through. Having someone who understands our despair and anxiety does help. We're not alone. But the other thing is that our struggle is not ours alone. It's a struggle that has been going on since the beginning of creation. It is, in fact, the struggle with death and dying. What? We're not dead yet? No, we're not. And that's precisely the point. In this life, nothing remains static. Change happens all around us on a daily basis, and that can be disconcerting. We don't like change very much because we're always afraid that making a change will not be for the better. When we confront change, our first thought is that about what we will lose rather than what we might potentially gain. It was difficult for Karen and I to leave the home on 21 Maple Street that her parents had built 7 years ago. She considered her home for her entire life, even when she didn't actually live there. Suddenly the idea of being with our grandkids and actually being retired and all those things that we've been looking forward to seemed very far off, and maybe they wouldn't even happen. We became focused on what we were leaving behind, this empty shell of a home that held so many memories. For us, it was a little death. But here's the thing about these little deaths that we all experience when large changes are made in our lives. There is always new life. It will be different, to be sure, but at the very core, new life is an opportunity for hope. Things will change. Things will always change. Things must change. It's what life is, constantly evolving. And so the way we keep hope alive and get through the pain of these little deaths of leaving home and community is to embrace the change. And human beings are not very good at that. We resist change with every fiber of our being. We cling to the old ways of doing things because we're afraid the new ways will never be as good as the old ones. I received an email from a friend of mine who had a video talking about how we baby boomers managed to survive without seat belts, with lead paint on our cribs, no safety caps on aspirin bottles. There's a plea that change is not good. We can get along just fine without change. But then I remembered, I don't remember exactly, but I know the story. When I was 8 months old, I managed to open an unprotected bottle of aspirin and downed the entire contents. I got immediately rushed to the hospital, had my stomach pumped. I'm sure I cried through the whole thing, but I survived. And when I'm trying to open one of those blankety-blank child-proof bottles that should be labeled adult-proof bottles, I realize change can be good even when it's disruptive. It could have saved my life. Church as a whole, and this church in particular, are facing changes that are not of our own making. We didn't cause the changes in our community when the depot closed and when the Mennonites and Amish moved in and bought up the farmland in the area. We didn't quite realize that our kids and grandkids would move away or not be interested in attending church on Sunday mornings. We aren't alone in this. Every small church is facing same or similar issues. And so we have to be prepared for change. It's scary. But Jesus has it right. The burden he asks us to bear is light, not because it's painless, but because new life cannot come without pain. Every mother has had that experience. The hard part is not bearing the burden of change, it's resisting God's call to adapt to the challenges we all are facing. It is not hopeless. The path in front of each of us is filled with new opportunities to act as God's servant people in new and exciting ways. Embrace it. Don't lose hope. God is with us. We're not alone. May it be so. Amen.